Welcome to Mystara, for a long-awaited write-up on marriage in the known world. How do the bonds of holy matrimony vary from region to region? When does love factor into the proposal? Do people prefer religious ceremonies, or would they rather elope? What cultures arrange marriages, and which ones prefer open relationships? Well, wonder no longer. I'm Mr. Welch, and try not to get left at the altar. Major apologies to Peter Cook there. I researched this topic expecting to find a smidgen of information on all the cultures, only to find, like most topics, the quantity in each source book was wildly varied. I stuck with what I could find, filled in the gaps where I could, and kept to canon where possible. This topic covers weddings and marriages, not eloping or skipping off to other planes of existence to get some elemental lord to perform the ceremonies. Booking the Temple of Raphael in the City of Stars to get hitched? No problem. Putting Lord Ao in a hammerlock until he announces you man and wife? A bit outside the scope of the video. Starting with Karamikos, this nation, due to its dueling cultures and income gap, is a mixed bag. The rural Troladarans are rather pragmatic, though they tend to marry for love. If both families agree on the marriage, then a wedding will be scheduled with the local temple, or a wandering priest will hold the ceremony at the home of one of the parents. The wedding will be simple and inexpensive, but the reception will be raucous. There will be lots of flowers, garish colors everywhere, and all will have a grand time. The couple will move into a single room together if they don't already have a home prepared, which is often the case if the husband is still an apprentice. Gifts given will be useful, like tools or dishes, though clothes for the new couple are always appreciated. Thyatians and Karamikos prefer a more somber affair, with church services being slower but lavish. Think solid colors and themes in both decoration and clothing. Thyatian weddings are more likely to be arranged by families rather than the bride and groom's choice. Guests are carefully chosen, as who attends your marriage can reflect your social position. Inviting potential employers is a time-honored tradition, though talking business during the reception is frowned upon. Gifts tend to be monetary to get the couple on their feet as fast as possible. Yulari weddings are serious affairs, at least to outsiders. Pairings are almost always arranged years in advance, and the temple then pressures the couple to follow through with the marriage. If one does not actually live up to the expectations of the church, then the church might call off the wedding. The actual wedding ceremony is known for being a lesson in tedium. The ceremony's cleric will extol Al-Kalim's virtues and teachings while instructing the couple on how to live up to what's expected of them. This can take several hours, depending on how wealthy the families are. But after the wedding, then the festivities start. The ordinary staid Yulari cut loose with music, dancing, storytelling, and feasting. The bride and groom will then attend their own receptions, separated by sex, before the party breaks up and the couple finally leaves to start their new life. Fortunately, they're also showered with gifts during both receptions, and often to excess if they're popular. Glantrian stands apart compared to the other nations because it's the only one where the church usually isn't involved with clerics being executed on site and all that. The various cultures tend to follow the traditions of their original homelands, with a few exceptions. A government official almost always performs ceremonies once the appropriate taxes are paid, making the official equal parts justice of the peace and tax collector. Belkidi's weddings are only considered a success if they go wildly out of control with drinking, dancing, and dueling in equal measures. They might be the only weddings that include bail money in the planned expenses. To compare, Albany's weddings are planned almost to the minute. Both the bride and groom are expected to have their vows memorized to save time. The menus are announced well in advance, and the order of the toasts at the wedding are laid out in the invitation. They are almost formal hearings rather than blessed events. Nobles in Glantrian prefer arranged marriages, and with the lethal politics the magocracy is known for, the negotiations over who is marrying whom can take years, with the prenuptial agreements often going over 100 pages in legalese. If you're just a commoner, the nobles don't care how you get married as long as you pay your taxes. Irindi weddings, compared to the Yulari ones, are almost unrestrained. The islanders almost always marry for love, and their ceremonies are borderline irreverent. They only spend a little money on the ceremony or the reception, with food being the most significant expense. They invite close friends and family, but other friends will often show up with gifts and even more food. The sign of a successful Irindi wedding is based on how many showed up in total rather than how many were invited. The wedding party is subjected to a large amount of good-natured ribbings and showered with gifts from food, jewelry, and household items, and a great time is had by all. Sylvan elves differ from humans in matrimony because their marriages aren't for life. Elves consider taking a mate for more than a few decades a curiosity. They live for centuries. Why should they be tied to a single person for most of it? An elven marriage is more of a friendly get-together than a significant event. The couple tells everybody they're married, there's some polite applause, and everybody gets back to the business of looking down on everyone else. Elven divorce is treated the same way. With light applause, the couple goes back to playing the field, and the elves sneer at everybody who thinks this is strange. Dwarves are all about arranged marriages. They fall in love like other races, but are more attracted to success and reliability than physical beauty. If two dwarves find themselves mutually compatible in terms of skills and efficiency when they come of age, their parents will start working on a contract between them. Marriage outside the clan is uncommon, but not so rare to be considered strange. Some clans will not mix due to old grudges. The warriors and the farmers have a long-standing beef, so there's not a lot of tender traffic between those two. A dwarven wedding is a strange mix between a history lecture and a kegger. Dwarven lore masters will give the couple's lineage back a few centuries until the telling reaches the current couple, and then they are added to their family's history. Then the dwarves celebrate by racing each other to see whose liver taps out first. Marriage in the northern reaches is somewhat convoluted because of the shared ancestry of the three nations. Sons and daughters will be bartered between the clans before they can even walk if it will help end an old grudge, strengthen a family's position, or if the pairing is fated to bring good omens to the clan. But as the Northmen value their freedom, children often reject these pairings and elope. This can reopen an old grudge, weaken a family's position, or bring bad omens to the clan. Unless the couple is successful, in which case all is forgiven, as the immortals have shown their approval of the free spirits. It's complicated. Northern weddings are famous for their wild and almost uncontrolled atmosphere. Before the actual ceremony, everyone is on their best behavior. Anyone who wants to contest the marriage can, until the start of the ceremony. Interrupting a wedding in progress is an excellent way to get exiled from your clan. After the ceremony, there is drinking, brawling, and as much debauchery as polite company allows. Hen weddings are known for their traditions, romanticism, and best of all, feasting. Hens only marry for love. They don't have much in the way of a feudal system, so political marriages are almost unheard of. Because of their Yularin phase, they tend to meet all sorts of different people while they're out adventuring. For many hen, their Yularin period ends when they take a spouse. Both parties will announce the engagement to their families and friends, who will then spread the word. Hen weddings are huge in scope. Everyone who is even remotely associated with the couple is sent an invitation, and anyone with an invitation can invite someone else. Everybody is expected to bring a dish to the wedding as well as a gift. The more exotic the dish, the better. Crashing a wedding uninvited is not recommended, as you will face dozens, if not hundreds, of wedding goers, all with adventuring levels. A cleric of the High Heroes performs the ceremony, presents the couple to the crowd, and after a few speeches, the feast is on. Seats are rarely offered as you're expected to mingle. People standing around too long will be politely moved to a new group so there are no strangers. There is dancing, music, and feasting until the early morning hours or until the food runs out. Then the community returns the next day for the monster cleanup while the newlyweds are given some privacy. Minrithad. Quite possibly the least romantic nation in all of Mystara. Nobody marries for love here. If you happen to fall in love with your prearranged spouse, great! Arranging marriages in the guilds is big business. Some lawyers specialize in setting up prenuptial agreements. Children are another commodity for Minrithad, and the proper marriage can increase a family status, cement a trade deal, or increase profits by merging two complementary businesses. The children might meet their future spouses before their wedding day, if they're lucky. Like everything else in the guilds, marriages are designed to bring in more money. Weddings resemble trade conventions more than actual marriage ceremonies. Now we skip to Darokin, because orc weddings are less cultural displays of matrimony and more like Class B felonies. The Nation of Coins restrained culture also applies to their wedding. In other words, they're expensive but tasteful. Weddings are by choice in Darokin. Deals and treaties are made with diplomats, not by exchanging children. Weddings are heavily organized, like most social affairs in the Republic, with wedding coordinators available for hire. Everything is planned, from the number of people attending to the number of flowers on display. There is no crashing a Darokin wedding. If you're not on the list, you don't get in. Weddings are always budgeted according to the couple's income level. Overspending on your wedding is a faux pas that will get people gossiping. Ethengar's marriage customs might be considered strange, but it's always worked for them. Because they have strict laws against inbreeding, marriage inside the various clans is forbidden. All the clans meet at the Great Horse Fair, the children are introduced to each other, and weddings are arranged. Some clans let the children select their potential mates, others pick for them. There's a lot of bargaining when setting up the marriages. Strong-willed and athletic children are preferred by the Ethengar and will have an easier time selecting a mate. When the children come of age, the ceremony is again held at the Great Horse Fair, and there will be drinking, wrestling, and feasting. There's even a chance the Great Khan will crash the wedding, which is a great blessing for the couple. The Shadow Elves are not the most romantic of cultures. Public displays of affection are frowned upon. Children are often paired up while they're still in the womb. Marrying for love is considered selfish because you put your needs ahead of your people's. Weddings are solemn events where it's more like a long sermon from the spirit shaman rather than a celebration of a new couple. Shadow Elves are slightly different in that the husband becomes part of the wife's clan compared to the other way around for other elves. But not all in the City of Stars is boring and stale. Some couples like to sneak away to spend time with each other, even going to underground tap houses to actually talk to one another, or to even brazenly hold hands. Complicating matters is the Shadow Elves have a strange reaction to the jacaranda tree that is magically grown in the Way of Trees. It acts as an aphrodisiac when in bloom. It's rather popular among the young elves for some reason. The Atrogant each have a different wedding ceremony for each clan. Weddings in the clans are almost always for love, and marriage outside the clan is typically unheard of, except for the Turtle clan. The Bear clan marriages are as simple as telling a shamani you want to marry. There might be a festival if the family desires, but that's up to the couple. They get moved into a new house, and that's the end of it. The Elk clan prefers to arrange marriages through shamani while children are young. Again, there is little ceremony because the joining of the couple is what the immortals have ordained, and there is little reason to get excited about what you were going to do anyways. The Horse clan has even fewer celebrations or ceremonies. When two people decide to get married, they tell the chief. He announces it to the tribe, and everybody moves on with their life, except then the newlyweds move in together. The Tiger clan never marries for love. Families arrange marriages when the children are young, like a business deal. Children are married off to increase the wealth or status of a family. Marrying between social tiers is unheard of because of the strict caste system. In contrast, the Turtle clan only marries for love, and their weddings are an excuse to celebrate. Everyone is invited, even foreigners whom the clan has learned to trust. The couple has to get their wedding approved by the chief, but that is rarely denied unless the chief thinks they're too young or their relationship is flawed in some way. Thyatian weddings are formal and well-organized affairs. Marriages can be arranged for political reasons, especially among the nobility, or occasionally for love. The couple announces their intention to get married to a government official and pays a tax. The wedding can be set up any number of ways. There's not one standard Thyatian ceremony. The nobility can turn weddings into almost carnivals, with large numbers of entertainers, stand-up philosophers, and even minor gladiatorial games. The less wealthy still put on an impressive ceremony, and everybody is dressed in formal wear and local entertainment is provided. It's a tradition that Thyatian weddings are unforgettable, and Thyatians do love their tradition. Alphatians, on the other hand, really don't have a standard marriage policy. In many kingdoms, all it takes is to get married is to publicly tell everybody you're married. That's it. Divorce is just as easy. If the couple wants to make a big deal about their wedding, that's up to them. Marriages last as long as the couple want them to. There's no pressure to stay married. Most Alphatians don't even have family names. Children born out of wedlock have no stigma attached as long as they are cared for properly. Even the Alphatian commoners have little formality when it comes to marriage. Weddings can get expensive, and they have more important things to spend money on than a big stressful event. Player characters are under no obligation to follow any of these traditions. Remember that marriages tend to be homogenous. The various nations rarely marry outside their culture. Even forward-thinking nations like Darokin follow this habit. Marrying outside your race is a major scandal in most countries. You're not going to walk into a tavern and find the Vestlander tending bar while his Sylvan elf wife sweeps. Mixed-race marriages in Mystara are rare, though border towns will be the exception to this rule. Straight-up interspecies marriage will be the gossip of the entire village. It takes years for someone of another nationality or race to get accepted into another culture by marriage, and even then, they will still draw stares. Okay, folks, that catches me up on the videos delayed due to illness, so time for a new topic. Next on the list is the breakdown of the court of the Great Khan of Ethengar. Take a bunch of tribal warriors with long-standing feuds, add in a group of elite bodyguards there to protect the peace no matter how many people they have to hurt, and some magic-using types that like to stir up the bee's nest for fun. Good times. But until then, remember, all creatures will make merry, under penalty of death.